All right. Welcome back to another rousing episode of Politics and Movies. And today we are discussing the epic film Oppenheimer from 2023. And yes, it is about the controversial physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer. And yes, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a very popular film, as we're probably tackling our most political film so far, would you say?
Yeah, probably. It's the most political film of all time, actually.
Maybe. That's not an assertion that I would discount. Yeah, so this was written and directed by Christopher Nolan, and you can tell. It's got a star-studded cast, of course, but it's got Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh. Uh, the list goes on. But
I,
yeah,
I was more interested in the bit part guys, like
yeah.
Rami Malek and wait, Casey Affleck? Who
Casey
did he
Affleck was
play?
in it. Um, he was. It was another bit part. I don't remember his actual role. I do remember it in the moment, but I don't.
Oh, that's right, Matt Damon. Matt Damon by far had my favorite performance in it, like
Really,
consistently. Yeah,
as the general. Okay.
yeah. Well, he wasn't always a general.
Well. Oh, Casey Affleck played Boris Pash, U.S. Army military intelligence officer
Uh,
and commander of the Alsos mission.
Good
And
for
yes,
him.
yeah. And I also believe this is the first film that we've tackled that is based on true events. So I think that's interesting.
Oh, really? I thought Long Kiss Goodnight was more or less a an accurate retelling of real events.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Uh, all those sleeper agents turned housewives.
Mm.
But anyway, getting into it and talking about well, maybe let's not go that far so fast. But
Yeah, yeah, a little foreplay.
a little foreplay. How did you
Well,
feel about the movie?
it was okay. That's it, folks. That, 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 that. No, it was. There was enough of actual biopic there, and enough decent performances and some really good editing. Honestly, the score was pretty nice, but I felt a lot of the visual sparkle really detracted from the substance of it. It was just a distraction, you know. It's like, oh, look what I can do in post production, rather than just focusing on good, you know, basic filmmaking that serves the narrative, the events. I will say the script, because that could be, yeah, maybe I did need a little something to judge, because sort of relies on the performances and on the fancy effects to give it to make it pop. So
I I might disagree a little bit in that I thought it was very well structured. I really liked when you have a lot of flashbacks in a movie, the events should be sequenced in a way that propels the plot forward. It's just screenwriting 101. But I feel like this film really is like a master class in that. Just the way that the flashbacks are, propel, things forward, and they're not even, in a way that is certainly not chronologically.
yeah, thought you were gonna say
Yeah.
gratuitous, but I don't know.
Oh,
It's sort of his thing. Like
yeah. Well,
from early on, it's been the staple of his style, and he's quite good at it now. Yes, but he doesn't edit his own films, right?
I don't think so.
He doesn't. Um, and all that,
No.
it's hard to say how much of that is just the editor being rather clever, and how much of it is exactly as was in the script to begin with. I
Yeah.
couldn't possibly speculate,
Uh,
but
just as a quick aside, yes, this movie was edited by Jennifer Lame.
yeah,
Best known, best known for Manchester by the Sea, Hereditary, Tenet, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
well, certainly a colorful CV.
Yes.
But there are long stretches in the movie where it does present chronologically continuous sequences. So it's not as if the entire film is, whiplash of times and places.
Yeah.
And takes place almost exclusively in America, and where in America doesn't really matter most of the time. So I don't know if I'd, agree that it's an epic, really.
Well, epic can also refer to the amount of time that is covered, and decades are covered in this film. So yes, I do think it qualifies. Uh,
Boyhood is my favorite epic.
but technically, yeah, sure. Um,
My boyhood was pretty epic too.
I mean, that film is an undertaking, but yes, like I would say it qualifies. But yeah, back to the matter at hand.
Well, for taking a solid 3 hours, it doesn't really feel like it. Like it does. It does trundle by without
Yeah,
being too fatiguing.
right, and it certainly has aspects of a thriller in terms of structure that I thought was very interesting for the subject matter. It's definitely an an interesting way to handle a subject like this.
He needs to throw in some intrigue. He needs to, it's what he thinks a movie is. You know,
Well,
I found that kind of annoying, honestly, because as soon as you think about what the stakes are, like, it's got a betrayal, it's got a secret asshole, it's got you know, it's got the parallel denials. Ooh, I can write a script. Look at that.
it's got quite
It's
a few
got
reveals.
it's got
Twist, yeah.
the Nolan generative AI is at it again.
Well,
I found that
I
like kind of annoying. Like, can you not just make a biopic? Does it have to, you know,
I
whatever?
think in
I'll
terms
cry
of
about it.
biopics, it made it stand out quite a bit. In my opinion,
By
and
trying to just turn it into a normal movie.
yeah. I mean, what's really wrong with that at the end of the day?
It to me,
Yeah.
it diminishes the subject matter
Okay. You thought it
because
should have
it
been more
just turns it into
grounded.
like a cheap little twist plot. You know, who didn't see that coming? It gives us, a bad guy. It gives us, it's so morally clear cut a lot of the time for being about what it's about. Although I will
Yeah.
say, it does like it could do a worse job of having a complex main guy. But if it's an adaptation of a biography, I don't know if you get a ton of credit for that. Of course, you lose credit for reducing a person to just, a good guy or a bad guy. But
Yeah, but it's a movie at the end of the day, and it does have to have a, a movie narrative. Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't have
it
to.
doesn't have to have a single
Yeah.
thing.
It's a big budget movie though, so it kind of does. And it did do very well. So, it resonated with people. Uh
It has brand recognition.
Yeah. Uh,
This didn't need to be a
anyway,
big
moving the
movie. Where did all the budget go? The
I
cast. Where else? Where
the
else could it possibly have gone?
probably the cast, probably the scope of the film. Yeah, like set pieces, design, special effects.
It's
You
all
know, I'm
just
sure.
these little post processing funny shots that didn't add a single thing. Oh, show me him having nightmares about wiggly strings. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
I'm sweating.
would you have chosen a different way to show his inner turmoil with
Yes, literally any other way. This felt like the most, you know, sophomore dilettante sort of way of doing a bunch of things in the movie. And I think Nolan's better than that, but he has been successful to an extent that he hasn't had to grow or listen to anyone outside his little echo chamber. It's just him and his brother huffing each other's farts back and forth over and over. I can't approve of that.
I don't think that's entirely fair, but there is quite a bit of cinematic shorthand in this that might not resonate with some people.
Me and only me.
uh, anyway, moving on to the politics, how do you feel about how the scientists are treated in this film? About how they are framed and how the movie feels about them and how about the other characters feel about them?
Well, I think it does a decent job of showing us that scientists are more or less people too, and some of them are more or less charismatic or emotionally intelligent. Some of them are more or less aware of or interested in the world around them. Because there's a stereotype of the workaholic, myopic egghead who is only interested in his calculations and his equations and doesn't really think too much about who the bomb's getting used on. But in this, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's some sort of commie or some sort of not a commie, I guess. Thanks, McCarthy.
Yeah.
So, how the scientists are treated by other people. They're treated more like a commodity, I think, in terms of, what can they do for me and my
Right.
country?
And then, once some of them have reached their expiration date, they're cast aside until they're needed again for, in this film, like the vilification of others or just as an expert witness or, it's like they're only useful until they're not, and then, they get tossed aside a lot. And
Yeah, but
especially the
it's
one.
nice to be useful for a little while.
Yeah, but it is unfortunate. And how much of this is actually real, I'm not sure because I am not a scholar on Oppenheimer or really anything else for that matter. But I do think it's interesting the way it's framed. And yeah, how do you feel about the character of Strauss and his vendetta against Oppenheimer over like these petty disagreements and perceived humiliation.
Well, he is sort of reduced to a very two-dimensional sort of typical Washington schemer, you know, his
Yeah,
big dark eyes peering through his thick lenses. It's like a bug.
yeah, he's really framed as this DC mover and shaker who knows how to manipulate the system to his own ends and does it quite well until it backfires on him at the end of the film, which I have
Found out what I did and took almost no care to disguise. Okay. And he almost got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling yids.
God. Yeah.
because all
Well,
scientists are Jewish, apparently.
well, in this film, the bulk of them are, uh, and I think that's interesting. I do think that's interesting. We talked about that earlier, before we started recording, about how,
About how we have one hope and it's anti-Semitism.
well, yeah, that's a very silly line, but it's got some truth in it. The nuclear program in Germany was very stilted because of the anti-Semitism and the fact that the majority of their scientists at the time had to flee Germany because many of them were Jewish. So I think
Not
that
to,
is an
not to speak of the comedy industry in Germany at the time. Oh, what a blow! Did they ever recover? I think not.
yeah, it harkens back to an old Robin Williams line when he's being interviewed by I think you've seen it where he's being interviewed by this German host, and she asks him why comedy isn't really as big in Germany, and Robin Williams responds, "Because you killed all the funny people."
Yes, that is the reference.
Yeah. Well, I had to say it for the audience, in case they haven't heard that. But yeah, so I think that is interesting, and I think that's interesting that in the era of McCarthyism, a lot of these Jewish scientists are singled out for at one time being members of the Communist Party when it really kind of makes sense from an internal logic perspective, since in the 30s, fascism was taking over Europe, and the antidote at that time seemed to be communism. So a lot of them signed up in the Communist Party, and I think that made sense. And apparently, that put targets on their backs for decades down the line.
Well,
And
communism still makes sense to some people. There's that quote that's attributed to Churchill. Um, Anyone who is not sympathetic to communism in his youth has no heart, and anyone who does not grow out of that has no brain.
I thought it was and anyone who's not a liberal versus conservative, there's different variations on it. I'm sure,
Of
like
course,
there's
it's I'm sure been made up, and at this point, I'm not sure that Churchill himself hasn't been made up.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that there's an actual through line there that has any real basis in reality, and it doesn't super matter. But the
It's
the
a
the
good sound,
point,
whoever generated it in the first place.
yeah, it's a good soundbite.
I'll bite.
Yeah.
So, but McCarthyism isn't terribly concerned with logic or anything like that, or human motivations or humans. No, no, it's the external threat we have to guard against, enemies foreign and domestic, because there are people up to no good. They're trying to destroy America with ideology.
And this film presents an interesting aspect of that, and the fact that McCarthyism was used in many cases to just discredit and humiliate and ruin people that the people in the establishment just didn't like, or had some vendetta against, and
Very much
you know,
like they do under communism, Report your neighbor.
yeah.
You get
And,
his potatoes and you get his wife, and they take him off to the gulag.
well, we're not talking about Russia. This film isn't based in Russia. It's based in the U.S. We're talking about what happened there. So
Yes, I'm drawing a parallel.
I know you are.
It being ironic that the same thing was happening in, at least in name, opposing systems of ideology.
Yeah, but
But as any scholar of politics will tell you, horseshoe theory is real and out there, and it'll bite you. So the only winning move is to not have a strong authoritarian political motivation.
well, that's how they get you, and then you don't believe in anything, and then uh, because I wasn't X, they didn't come for me. Yada yada yada. I didn't.
So
You know what I'm saying.
they always come for daddy.
They always come for. All right. Anyway, uh, what was I saying?
I don't know. You weren't paying attention either.
No, I was just saying, I do think it's I, um I do think you do present an interesting point, horseshoe theory aside, that there's, inherent othering in the establishment being afraid of the other element that is, perceived as alien to the establishment and trying to undermine it at every turn when, in reality, that may or may not be the case. And it's debatable whether it was the case with a lot of these former communists that just were just trying to get by, just trying to live.
See, it's nice to have a cause that you can devote yourself to. Rather is whether it's a bomb or the ousting of America's enemies, and then you
Yeah,
do end up setting your sights on a lot of people who didn't do nothing,
yeah,
but it's in the name of a greater conceptual good. You know, it's a crusade with all the loading that word comes with.
yeah. And I guess moving on to a different aspect of this film, it does present all the, honestly, somewhat cookie cutter arguments like, did we have to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? And
It made Truman just a dick.
oh, he kind of was, but it's I think it's funny because he's usually depicted in films like this as very statesmanlike, but here he's just like a southern asshole who's just got his own agenda and he's just, being the strong man.
Well, he's the president behind closed doors. You know, he's a person after all. And
Yeah,
once the cameras are gone, you know, people will show you what they are.
sure. And that is uh yeah, it's a possibility that things in this film that the way they are perceived happen, but we really have no way of knowing for sure.
Well, we know more or less. He said, "Don't let that, you know, your bleeding heart, little queer back in here.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a conscience? Oh, poor baby. You object to the deaths of thousands? Wow." But the sights being turned on all manner of people, and the film bringing up anti-Semitism, uh, taking place in Germany at the time, does make me wonder a little bit why there was no attention whatsoever paid to good old American anti-Semitism. And it has not been such a popular thing to talk about for a while, but there was a long, long time, a proud tradition, in fact, of American anti-Semitism. And, you know, Jews will tell you about it if you ask them. It still happens.
Yeah.
Places on the earth are friendly to the Jew.
Yeah, it is interesting, but I guess that just wasn't the intended
Was it
focus.
relevant? Oh, it was relevant. Not just not relevant to the narrative that Nolan wanted to get into, I
Yeah.
guess.
And, well, then that's why I didn't say relevant because it's relevant. It just wasn't the intended focus of the film.
'Cause he's a coward. America good, except McCarthyism.
Well,
America great. Wave flag. Put ranch
another
on your
thing,
hot dog. Light a
another thing
sparkler.
that yeah, and I mean the other thing, the other elephant in the room that isn't mentioned that's occurring around the same time as the concentration camps and the rounding up of the Japanese, especially in the West,
Yeah, well,
Japanese
if they didn't
Americans.
want to, you know, be put in an internment camp, maybe they shouldn't have been Japanese.
Yeah, the old "Have you tried not being gay?" argument. Yeah.
Well, see, no, that's a little bit different.
Is it? It's not. It's not.
So you can pretend to not be gay, but it's hard to
Yeah.
pretend to not be Japanese. Oh, what? You just go around telling people you're Korean? Nah, they know.
Yeah, well, how successful was that for Liberace? It worked for a couple decades.
Oh no, no. To this day, people will insist Liberace was uh, a normal, red-blooded, all-American. They will ask any boomer. I
Oh God.
swear, literally. Ask, dear listener, ask your parents if they think Liberace was gay. You may be surprised.
Austin Powers was surprised.
Austin Powers had the same getup.
That's true.
It's like people not realizing that Judas Priest had the leather thing going on for a reason. Oh, this is just how we dress in heavy metal now. Okay, sure.
Yeah. And um there's one argument that well, there's one argument. There's one anecdote that gets circulated a lot that is, I think, rumor. I'm not sure if it's real or not. That it's been discussed many times. It's whether or not that the Secretary of War decided to spare Kyoto because he and his wife had honeymooned there, and he'd visited many times.
Oh, I believe it.
It's absolutely it's interesting. It's kind of funny if it is real.
Like a motherfucker.
Yeah, like it just shows the fickleness of
And
like
that's why I
America.
believe it, because it's so, you know, human. Like he formed an attachment to the place, so he doesn't want to blow it up. Whereas all the rest of Japan is just hypothetical.
Right, right. And that's yeah, that's absolutely what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's like everything else we can say is just an abstract, but this place, I've actually been here. I like this place. Don't blow that part up. And it you know, I guess it lends to the question would would uh would we have dropped the bomb
Kyoto would just all of Kyoto. I'm down for it.
if but would we have dropped the bomb if the Secretary of War had been to more of Japan?
It becomes harder to drop bombs on people and places you've humanized.
Sure, and I
Which
mean,
is why the megalomaniacs in power need borders so badly. We need outgroups so the war chiefs can retain their positions. Not to get political, but for example, as we see in Israel,
well, yeah, and
we
I
wouldn't
mean
get
the
political
military,
here. You can trust us.
and we could talk about the military-industrial complex all day, and I guess we could because it's certainly relevant to this film and it's relevant to politics. So
Oh goodness, which American president was it in his farewell address who warned against the precipitous danger of the military-industrial complex and warned specifically that we must not allow it to exceed its mandate and its scope?
that's that's the interesting thing. A president that is mentioned in this film, Eisenhower. Eisenhower said
Yeah,
that.
that's the guy. He would know too.
Yeah,
Like, God, what a spine on that guy to say that.
yeah.
What foresight? What a God. Can you imagine any of the last like half dozen presidents?
Oh yeah, no, no way.
No, because the
I
military
definitely
industrial
see what
complex is too entrenched. It kind of owns Washington. And to be fair, that's because it is one of the few industries that has kept so much production domestic and is a huge source of jobs. So, the state's governors will feel they can't possibly do anything to upset the big companies, the big military industrial companies that provide so many jobs and so much capital to the states they're operating in. That's how they get you.
yeah, and Yeah, and another interesting aspect of that was the fact that Eisenhower was a conservative Republican, and yes, this was before the Southern Strategy, and we won't get into that. But
But he cared about America, you know.
yes, yeah, and that's the important thing. I'm
Actually,
saying, like,
America
could
first, you know.
you could you imagine like Bush saying that? You know, the last
God, who's the last American president you can like imagine?
geez, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, but he wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't,
It's
but
not
I
his
could see it.
style.
It's not his style.
Like, imagine if Jimmy Carter could go back in time and inform himself about what was going to happen in the next, 30 years.
Right.
He'd do the right thing.
Well, he only got one term because well, we won't get into that, but
Because
because yeah. Yeah, so anyway,
maybe Obama.
maybe I could see him. He
Timeline Obama, not this one.
but yeah, anyway, so there's a lot of the and for most of this film, the general absolutely represents the nascent military industrial complex in America when it's really just starting to get on its feet and recovering from early on in the war when things are really starting to heat up, and this generates a lot of income for the U.S. and turns it into a superpower pretty much. So there was never any looking back, and
Well, the U.S. was
uh,
the only major industrial center left, so it was, uniquely well positioned. And, coming out of the Depression, but, it's well established why
yeah,
why America rose to prominence after World War II.
yes.
But I don't think I could agree. It's an interesting reading that he sort of personifies the military-industrial complex, but I don't know. He felt too human, too dynamic to me to really be representative like that. An avatar
That's
like
fair.
his decision making is more reasonable and moderate and human, and he can be convinced of things, and he isn't dogmatic.
Yeah, I guess it would be fair to say
He's a
that
niche.
uh, he helps create a machine that he loses control of and doesn't fully understand. Sort of like
Me,
Oppenheimer himself.
just an architect,
Yeah, he's the architect, just like
which is funny.
Oppenheimer.
I'm me. I'm just an architect. He was the last funny non-Jew in Germany.
Jesus. Oh God.
Seriously,
Um,
it's a comedy thing. It's like something out of Doctor Strangelove. It's
yeah,
farcical.
yeah, I could see it. But anyway, what other political readings did you get from this film other than I guess we've already covered the obvious.
Well, there's if we're taking politics in its broadest sense as the relationships of people and the places that resources go, and how we determine how we do things. And there's the big the gender relations issue,
Yes.
because this was a different time where a strong independent woman all of a sudden becomes a housewife who God, I couldn't be locked up with infants all day. I do more than drink. I would fucking shoot a guy and then myself.
That's fair. Yeah, she definitely goes through.
Like, do they not have childcare on this base? Like, Jesus, they have everything else.
Right.
They've got a
And I'm
saloon,
not
a
sure.
school, a church. They can't hire a nanny. Can't get any nannies with security clearance. Really?
And I mean, at this time, who knows? But yeah, it is interesting, and it is a different interesting aspect of this film that some time is devoted to. So the I guess the movie does want you to ask the question.
I did mostly think that the sex scenes in this movie were pretty restrained and well done and served either narrative or character development. And typically, I am anti sex scenes in movies because they're unnecessary and stupid. Like, if you need to keep the dude bros awake with base titillation, then maybe go back to the drawing board on your script, you know? It's like you're on the verge of being self-aware, you know, make the final push and say, maybe I should, you know, do something about this rather than resorting to cheap tricks. But the scene in the trial, I guess we can call it, the hearing,
Yeah,
when Oppie is being stripped and laid bare, we see him alone, nude in the chair. And at first I thought, oh, is this some sort of, you know, the sophomoric representation of how he feels naked before they're probing. But then he's getting a Sloppenheimer Toppenheimer, and the imaginary woman is staring at the spouse, smiling,
yeah,
and it's
and
suddenly we're seeing things from her perspective,
yeah,
you know. But
and I do think it intended like both.
is that the
Like
only time in the movie where we see something from someone else's perspective?
I, no, we see a couple things from Strauss's perspective. Like the early in the film where the exchange between Oppenheimer and Einstein and Strauss thinks they're talking about him. That's depicted a few times from Strauss's perspective.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that that was only in the film to for very functional purposes to bolster his character, to give him more screen time, more significance, when the only real reason to do that was to give us a twist bad guy, which is, I submit, unnecessary and degrades the material.
Okay, well, that's your opinion.
We care so little about gender relations and the politics of womanhood that we abandon it in favor of the
Well,
meme win,
well, that
the
wasn't my intention.
dramatic.
I think we spent about as much time on it as we
You can't
can.
help being a man. That's what men do. They're all pigs.
Well, it's funny that you phrase it like that because I do think the film spends a lot more time on Strauss and his character than on any of the gender relations in this film. Like we get a couple scenes. Uh, we get a scene with his girlfriend slash mistress, and we get a few scenes with his wife, and the fact that the one lady who was a scientist, and they wanted her to enter the typing pool, and I can't really think of any others.
Well, there's the people he was staying with. He had a fling with the wife.
Yes, that's true. That's true, but we don't really see them, much from her perspective either.
No, do you think that we're given sufficient evidence of the claim that Oppie was a womanizer?
I think so. I think it's fair to
I think he
say.
was just horny and had a bit of an ego on him, and
Yeah, he
you
was
know
lonely.
he needed a bit of diversity in his diet, right? And I don't think was, you know, terribly cavalier or uncaring to any of these women. Like the when after he put his dick in crazy, he still was like there for her, right? He wanted to be able to offer her more, but circumstances, which include, you know, being married, did not seem to permit it. And the only time in the movie that we see him really sort of shook and vulnerable and wrenched is when he finds out about the suicide, and he hasn't seen her in some time, but feels directly responsible. You
Yes.
know, when we see the black leather gloved hands pushing her under the water, you know, I assumed, and because nothing in this movie is graceful or subtle, I'm pretty confident submitting that that was supposed to be, you know, him representing his feeling of guilt.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't really sure what to make of that, honestly, but that seems like a fair
Like,
assessment.
what other reading could you get from that?
Yeah,
Honestly,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
because we don't know about anyone or anything else in her life. She's just, you know, his crazy way.
That's fair. But she definitely challenges him early in the film, and he's engaged by that. He definitely feels like stimulated by her. Um and before,
Yeah, I didn't
but
have to say it.
yeah. But yeah,
I'm
so
a little bit more mature and sophisticated than Christopher Nolan. If he was here right now, he'd say it.
well,
Or maybe it's his brother
um
we should be blaming for this, and by we I mean me.
I don't think he co-wrote this one. I think this was all Nolan, Christopher.
Because I know he often works with his brother on screenplays.
Yes. But I don't think this one, unless he was a ghost writer or
You could be right. I might be misremembering, but it's his
or
influence. You know,
maybe. But yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
he's destroying his own credibility. He doesn't even have the wherewithal to say IMDb or something.
OMDb. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's me. I'm
That's
transparent.
me. I'm a putz.
So yeah,
You
that's
learn Danish in 6 weeks, but you don't learn Yiddish. God, I love a good like caricature Yid. Like I'd put one in everything I wrote if I were a writer. It's just such a fun sort of character.
yeah,
But
it definitely. And
I guess people might be afraid of doing that because it could come off as like anti-Semitic if it's too much of like a broad caricature. But
yes,
it's fun.
in this case, he's definitely presented as a comic relief in that scene. And definitely it makes sense within the context of the film, so I don't think it could be
No,
interpreted
I think he's a little more well-rounded than that. And honestly, I really did like the parallel of when he says to the guy, "Eat" on the train, and then later again when he's supporting him in the deposition, he says, "Eat," and he's like a you know uh, an older brother, a friend,
Yeah,
someone you can lean on. He's a rock.
yeah, that's why I
He's
said
a good guy. He's a mensch. He's the you know.
yeah,
So I
absolutely.
like that he was, not just a haha funny yid, but
Yeah,
he's
not
also actually the confidant, I guess we could say.
yeah, definitely. As the film frames him, he is one of the few characters that Oppenheimer can consistently rely on, and you can tell that he appreciates it, and he doesn't really have that much of a support system, and his
No, he
support
doesn't need one. His ego is enormous, and there's not a lot of room for that. Like who else is there? He can turn to Einstein when he needs to, and they seem to, they disagree, but they've got like a mutual respect,
yes.
and it can be valuable to have someone like that in your life whose opinion you respect, but who you disagree with. Like when you need a take that you can rely on to navigate by.
Absolutely. And as from someone that's so high profile, and it's interesting.
Yeah, Einstein's not gonna give a shit about you have your picture on Time magazine.
Yeah. He's been there.
Yeah, he's done that. He's been served potato salad and salmon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought that was a pretty interesting thing to end the film on, though, was that
It remembers it's a biopic at the very end. It's concluded all its story threads. It's had its little intrigues, its thriller, and then it can tell you, no, here's how the rest of his life played out. But I thought it was a fairly elegant ending. Um,
yeah,
which
and
was sort of at odds with the blunt apparatus of the rest of the movie. Um, well, me personally, I'm glad that we destroyed the world with a big fireball, as he warned. Like, can you
yeah,
imagine?
geez. Yeah, well, yeah. If the reaction had gotten out of control and just destroyed everything, yeah, that
Oh, I more meant the Cold War escalating into a hot war.
oh
But
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that too, which would which he hinted at was going to happen, and when he said we already did, and yeah, uh, yeah, it caused many wars and led to lots of loss of human life, and yeah, he was right on the money.
when's the last time you heard anything about nuclear arms? Right, North Korea, I think, was the last time anybody heard anything about that, or maybe some rumor that Putin might, get fussy and launch some. But there's been no serious nuclear threat for some time now. Has the age finally passed? Have we got over it?
Hopefully, but who knows? There's always a calm before the storm, as they say.
Well, I'd rather, not be worrying about it. There's plenty of other stuff to worry about.
Oh yeah. And for a time, it's a there's different phases of worrying about different types of weapons. Like for a while, we worried about a dirty bomb. For a while, we worried about terrorism, and for a while, we worried about the bomb. And yeah,
We're not
so
worried about terrorism anymore, I don't think. And that didn't grip us quite the way that McCarthyism did, because in this case, the perpetrators can all be identified by their skin color. God bless. No innocent white people getting in trouble this time. The Jews are safe for once. Well, the white Jews, anyway.
well,
That's a unique experience to not be, part of the group that's being accused and profiled, and isn't it?
yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
uh,
one of the few times in history where it's not the Jews. At least it's not people alleging, because it's an external threat, not an internal one.
well, it's interesting though because a lot of the
Say one more time, motherfucker.
I say it a lot in this show. I'm sorry, it's like my catchphrase. But
Especially today, now that you're out of it. What is it the drugs? Are you back on the drugs? Are you
no, I'm
smoking
sick.
drugs
I
again?
told you
You
that.
injected a
No, no,
marijuana, and now you're an addict.
I'm not addicted to anything right now, unfortunately. No, no, I was just gonna say, it's interesting that a lot of the targets of McCarthyism in real life and in the film are Jewish, and is there a reading there? Is that
Oh, absolutely.
anti-Semitism? Yeah.
Well, it's not anti-Semitic, regardless of who tells you differently, to be aware that there are many Jewish people in positions of power in academia, in politics, in finance, wherever. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. It's simply a fact. And American anti-Semitism, as I mentioned before, is a proud tradition. So people who are resentful of that or resentful of these individuals can simply, report them to the Inquisition. So it's extra motive for people to, you know, for petty, horrible people to, do what they do best and ruin things for other people.
Yes, and is there a reading that the villain of the film is a guy named Strauss who insists on everyone pronouncing his name Straws?
Well, lots of people will change their name to, avoid the. I guess that is the one nod to American anti-Semitism there.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. It's very subtle though, and in opposition to everything else in this film, as you said, like it's
Well,
like one of
the implication of it could go over some heads, but I think it's about as subtle as the rest of the movie.
that's fair. That's
It's an entire the scene dedicated to it, and that's all that is in the scene. It's pretty, pretty blunt, pretty undisguised. Um, I don't know. You couldn't call it exposition, really. It's just here's a theme I want to include. Here's a scene just wedged in, dedicated to that. Doesn't feel naturalistic at all because that is all that occurs in the scene, really.
okay. Well,
God,
it's a
get a dialogue coach for Christ's sake,
get who a dialogue coach?
or whoever is responsible for the screenplay. The
Yeah.
actor who looks like Aaron Sorkin, get him in. Hey, you look like Aaron Sorkin. I bet you can polish the dialogue. Any guy off the street with glasses and that hairstyle. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like Aaron Sorkin though. A little bit. Am I? Which actor was that? He was in charge of the practical experiments lab at the place Oppenheimer was teaching. You know who I mean? The guy who was like cut it out with the unions already. They're tapping your phone, idiot.
Oh, Josh Hartnett?
Sure, I didn't really catch his name.
No, that's the actor's name. I think you're talking about him. I could be wrong. But
Oh, I
let's
think it
see.
was him. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, did he not look a little like Aaron Sorkin in the movie?
I guess a little bit. I'm not sure how relevant that is, but yeah. Well, did you have any other thoughts before we wrapped up?
The only good commie is a dead commie. Better dead than red. If
Okay.
I'm suspected of communist sympathies, just fucking shoot me. It's an open invitation.
You just want to be shot.
Now, let's not give away the game.
Yeah.
What
All
did you
right.
think about the usage of fancy visual effects to show us that a person's experiencing feelings?
I think it harkens back to early 2000s movies and TV shows where they do that a lot to like they try to, put like a visual aspect of inner turmoil on the screen because it's hard to capture that in film.
No,
And
it's not. You show an actor acting, or even better,
yeah,
you show an actor not acting, and that lets you project your reading of the situation onto them.
that's fair.
So those are two alternatives that cost a lot less money
Yeah, but I
and are not dated immediately. So much of this movie's flashiness and its score and its, showing off felt very 2010s in its style. And maybe that's just Nolan. Maybe he was just a big part of defining the cinematic language of the spectacle blockbuster in the 2010s. In which case, it wouldn't entirely be fair to say it's dated if it's just his style. But
Right.
I did find it distracting.
Okay.
Why couldn't
I
he
didn't mind it
find
so much.
a role for Michael Caine in this movie? It's his first film since Insomnia, 2002, to not feature Michael Caine.
Huh. I didn't realize that. But yeah, I'm a sucker for breaking things up, and if you have like something visual that's not too abysmal. That's a reference to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I didn't get it.
I'm Yeah, well, it's because you have a life. Um yeah, so basically I didn't mind it, but I understand your qualms with it. This is where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Is it about, how Oppenheimer's work relates to the world and to, the future? And are we keeping it, concerned with the man and his work? Or are we letting the scope slip a bit and meditating on how his work affects things in perpetuity? But if he hadn't, he was only one man on the project.
Yeah.
And if he didn't, have his position, then someone else would have done it. Like it was inevitable that there would be nuclear bombs, right? Because the Germans got
Probably.
started on that.
Yeah, but they had a couple of hiccups really
Well,
getting
that's
the
what
ball
it was.
rolling.
It wasn't entirely smooth sailing for the Americans, right?
Yeah, but the Germans were far behind for reasons that I don't really feel like getting into. But yeah, so it would have taken the Germans years to catch up. But you know,
Well, but it was still all very experimental. Like they were trying to find out how to do a thing that many credible people considered impossible.
yes,
Right? Like
but
Oppenheimer even does the math and he says, "No, it's not possible," and then they do it in the experimental lab next door while he's
yeah,
doing the math. So,
and I guess to oversimplify a little bit, Heisenberg was a little out of his depth. He was really working with the Germans to get the ball rolling on their side, and the Americans were just more organized. They had more resources. They had more, like it's mentioned in the film that there was just more concerted effort, concentrated effort put into it.
and they had the intellectual capital
Yes,
of the rest of the world at their disposal. Germany had a couple of guys, good scientists, but just not enough of them. Spread
yes,
too thin, and not enough Lebensraum to really produce the sort of material resources you need. You know,
sure.
how much surface area geographically would Germany have had to have occupied in order to be able to produce the same amounts of uranium and plutonium? I wonder.
Yeah, like who
Model
knows?
there somewhere what they would have
Yeah.
had to have captured. But I know they were working with as I think it was Teller who suggested in the first place heavy water deuterium,
Yes. And
and that didn't go so well for them.
no, it didn't work out. But yeah, so and then
And then I learned to love the bomb. Yeah,
I learned, yeah, we all did, I guess. And then Superman 4, The Quest for Peace came out, and there was a bad guy that what was he like called, like Nuclear Man or something? It was so fucking stupid.
America's attempt at the Godzilla parable.
Yeah. Something like that. Anyway,
Home
so
of the
yeah.
brave.
What?
Home of the brave.
Home of the Brave.
These days, if you made a new bomb, there'd be like a themed Taco Bell product for it.
Could be. Hopefully, we don't find out. Uh, contact your local corporate sponsor. All right. I guess this was our episode on Oppenheimer, the 2023 film. And hope you had a good time, GS. I know I did.
I came.
Yeah. I exploded all over the place.
Oppenheimer.